With me now is the State Member for Toongabbie and former Premier of New South Wales, Nathan Rees. Mr Rees, welcome. Do you acknowledge the existence of New South Wales disease?
I don't think it's as simple as that, and frankly...
Lopping off the head, you're a victim of New South Wales disease,
I don't think
it's
as simple as that. If you look at seats to the north of Sydney, in Dabel, for example, our vote went up. In Robertson, our vote went up. Mike Kelly in Eden Monero, our vote went up. Page on the North Coast, our vote went up. This was a mixed result. Now, as others have pointed out previously, in those middle ring seats in Sydney, we did suffer significant swings against us in Banks and Blaxland as well. But it was a mixed result in New South Wales. Overall, though, we held on all right in Greenway and in Lindsay. Now, as you know, it's about the number of seats that you have in the House of Representatives, and we held our end up there.
Do you acknowledge you succumbed in your premiership here, this is what it's about, to New South Wales disease, cut off the leader because you're going down in the polls and your popularity is slumped? Don't support the leader, get rid of the leader.
Sure, I certainly think that all the evidence to date is that that approach on its own it simply has not worked. As I said in recent days, the electorate of New South Wales is the most sophisticated in Australia. They see through quick fixes like this. There is no substitute for policy substance, and we are going through a difficult period, there's no question about that. But when that's happening, whether you're a cricket team or a football team or an organisation or indeed a government, you return to the basics and doing the basics well. And I think that needs to be our starting point.
Let's test your political judgment, Mr Rees, because this is the bitter debate which will resonate in your party for years to come, I'm sure. Should Kevin Rudd have been removed as Prime Minister?
Look, I don't know what discussions happened with former Prime Minister Rudd before they moved on him. If they had said to him a month in advance, look, these are the three issues you need to fix the mining tax, you need to fix the carbon trading issue and whatever other issues were out there, and he hadn't fixed them over the month, then they were probably justified to say, listen, time's up. I don't know that that occurred. Having said that, the immediate poll bounce after the removal of Prime Minister Rudd for Julia Gillard was very impressive. It wasn't sustained, but it was very impressive. Now, I'm not trying to have a bob each way here. I'm simply saying that once you remove a leader once, whether it's at state or federal level, it gets easier to do it again. And my concern is the inherent instability that brings to the New South Wales and Labor and federal Labor parties in the medium to longer term, beyond this election.
The key point is here that even though a lot of urges were saying get rid of Rudd, the majority, the overwhelming majority of the Federal Parliamentary Labor Party, that was their judgment as well. Get rid of him.
That's right. That's right. And
they have arguably shot themselves into the foot if that has rebounded on them.
Well, there was an initial bounce. And no one disputes that. But it wasn't sustained, and that's where the soul searching has to lie.
Can you be frank with us, were you ever put in a position where you had to accept focus group polling and policy prescriptions applied to you by outside the party, by the party secretary?
There's certainly no shortage of effort to get you to adjust policies according to whatever the most recent research might be. My view, and I suspect most leaders' view, is that you use the research to perhaps refine a message or to perhaps tweak a policy, but it is not a guide on its own, and it is certainly not something that you base your policy approach on.
Even when you're under great pressure, you're going down in all the polls, you're under pressure to lift your bounce, you've got to get a bounce, this is what it's all about, modern politics. You'd say, righto, well, run with that. Let's get on the 24-hour news cycle.
No, you have to amidst the hurly-burly of the 24-hour media cycle and so on, you have to chart a course that is both intellectually consistent and consistent with your principles as leader and your party platform. Now, there is no long-term substitute for that, and there might be issues that come along from time to time that require a response that is not readily apparent, and on those occasions you may take some advice. But as a principle, polling is a tool. It is not an end in itself and certainly shouldn't guide policy development.
Maurice Yemmer says this is the biggest swing against the Labor Party since Scullin. Should there be federal intervention in New South Wales or some sort of objective inquiry into the circumstances which led to the party losing the election after one term?
Well, there's certainly going to be a review of the last few months in the campaign itself, and that'll be carried out by someone eminent, and that's appropriate.
Doesn't sound like Richardson say everybody will blame everybody else and no one will be held to account.
There are competing views on this issue.
As I says, get rid of Batar should have resigned. He says publicly, Karl Batar, not personal, Karl Batar should have resigned to be accountable. Do you support that?
I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into commentary on individuals. Morris and I are close friends, but I'm not going to get into commentary on individuals. We have a broader issue here, and incidentally, it doesn't just apply to the Australian Labor Party. We have an election campaign in which the confidence of the people of Australia in the robust discussions that have occurred during election campaigns past has simply dissipated. People are wondering, what was that all about? Where was the policy substance? And that's a much bigger issue and a much more important issue than the Labor Party going through the entrails of the election.
Your successor as Premier, Christina Keneally, says she's listened to voters after the Penrith by-election and the federal result, and she's not going to be influenced by focus group research. She's turning over a new leaf. Should we say that's spin or accept that as a good promise?
I would accept the Premier and her word.
But we all remember Mr Rees saying that the person who replaced you as Premier would be a puppet of Eddie Obeid and Joe Tripodi. Do you still stand by that assessment?
I haven't mentioned that since that day. It was in a context of an impending leadership battle, and I raised the ante as I saw fit.
You've watched the Premier operate for 8 months now. Do you stand by that assessment?
I think she's doing a very good job in difficult circumstances.
Do you withdraw your admittedly tactical remark?
It was a tactical remark, and that's precisely what it was at the time.
It's no longer operative?
Look, I concentrate on doing the job for the people of Toongabbie, and you and your friends in the For the State can draw whatever conclusions...
I'm giving the opportunity to withdraw that very adverse reflection.
Look, I think she's had a difficult time over recent months. We've had scandal after scandal, Karen Palazzano, Cherie Burton and more recently Kerry Hickey. These are difficult periods, and they're difficult periods for leaders when you've got to get out there on the front foot and sell a message. And
you're meant to be on the front foot. Is she a puppet of Eddie Obeid and Joe Tripodi or not?
I'm not going to answer your question on that. That's for you to determine, not me. I'm not going to get into it.
Well, you could clear the air.
I don't know what's going on in Governor Macquarie Tower. I don't know what's going on anywhere other than Toongabbie. That's my job now.
It seems certain there will be a change of state government next March. Can't you accept that a period in opposition for your party may be just what the doctor ordered so you could heal yourself of New South Wales disease?
I'd be changing doctor if that was their diagnosis. But look, there's no point pretending that we're not going through a difficult period, and March is going to be a very tough election for us to win.
Nathan Rees, thanks very much.
Good on you.